Oh man, welcome. How's everyone doing on this lovely, steaming hot, crab boiling day? Thank you for tuning in to this very first live edition of Jets Fan Views. And I have a very great guest with me today. He came back, so thank you, Frank. How are you today? How was your day?
Thank you, my man. Thanks for having me here. Blessed day, always a blessed day. Shout out to my friend SB. Shout out to Kevin and Jasmine. Shout out to my adorable little niece, Pamelita. And shout out to my nieces and nephews all around.
Okay. Shout out to the fam. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for those who will be tuning in the future. Again, this is Jets Fan Views. Let you know I'm a Jet fan. But today we have a guest today, so we definitely want to start the show off the right way. So I got some questions for this man who decided to wear his Giants gear up in here today. So, obviously, if we're talking about Giants, we want to talk about Daniel Jones. So, but I want to ask you, did you have the same reaction that everyone else had when Daniel Jones was drafted?
Well, for one, I didn't boo the kid, all right?
So you didn't boo, you didn't
But I
throw stuff, and
no, but here's my the reaction I had was, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, because I actually, and I really look forward to doing it again, but unfortunately we got hit with the virus. I went to MetLife for the draft, and it was so beautiful. They had, everybody with all kinds of jerseys on, and, everybody was so into it, and then the Giants picked, and then you heard the same thing. Who? That's all you heard throughout the whole entire stadium and laughter and stuff. But, to Gettleman's, I think the man made a great pick. I think he could have me personally, and let's see how you feel. I think the fact that the Giants had the two picks that they did, they could have picked Josh Allen, and I don't think anyone else, unless I could be wrong, I didn't think anyone else was thinking about Daniel Jones, so you could have got Daniel Jones at 17.
Yeah.
But so you're saying that you were a little upset.
I wasn't. All right. So the night he got drafted, and this is me defending Gettleman. Okay, and last year I would have said, the year before Daniel Jones, I would have said, you know what, you got Darnold. Let's be honest. You guys thought you were going to land Baker Mayfield.
We thought Darnold was coming off the table first, and we thought Baker Mayfield was our guy.
Yeah, and you were actually wanted Darnold. I mean, I'm sorry, you wanted Baker Mayfield.
Yes, we wanted Baker, right.
And, you know what I'm saying? No, at the time, the perception I got from Jets fans is they wanted Baker Mayfield. They wanted Darnold.
No, we didn't want Darnold. We wanted Baker Mayfield.
Oh, okay.
But we did. All right, so here's the thing. We thought Darnold was the better overall, quarterback. But we didn't believe that he would be there. So the fact that we were picking third, we was like, okay, we would settle for Baker Mayfield.
And it's funny because at first I thought, and I spoke to a couple Jets fans, they said, it's funny because I thought at first that Baker Mayfield was going to go to the Browns, and we were going to have to, that's the quarterback we wanted. We're going to have to settle for, I'm sorry, did I say Baker Mayfield or Darnold?
Well, you said you knew the Browns were going to pick Baker Mayfield or quarterback. So what you thought, the fans that you spoke to thought they were actually going to pick Darnold, not Baker Mayfield.
So the Jets actually wanted Darnold, from what I gathered, and when they saw that the first pick, in the first pick in last year's draft, the first thing they selected 2 years ago, the first thing they selected was Baker Mayfield. The Jets fans were excited because for the fans I spoke to, they said, "Oh shit, we got the pick that we wanted. We didn't have to trade up. We didn't have to do nothing. We got my man." So that's what I actually originally thought. Now, the thing about me was when they picked Saquon that year, I could understand why the Giants picked Saquon. The guy is phenomenal. He's generational talent. You cannot deny the fact that
you could get a running back in the third or fourth round. The NFL has proven that within the last 5 years.
And you're right about that.
A franchise quarterback.
And you're right about that. And let me get to that point. Now, you had the chance to get Darnold in the first round and let him sit behind Eli for a whole season.
Right, let him learn.
Let him learn the system. You had a chance to do that, and he wasn't Darnold would have never been in the position he was with the Jets. I'm going to start now.
Okay.
So that was the one thing I had against Saquon Barkley. I understand, Gettleman went with the safe pick. Now, let's fast forward. Last year's draft, Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, so my feeling about Daniel Jones was this. You can't get too fancy about a quarterback. You can't get cute about it. You cannot try to pull some kind of swagger. If you feel this guy is your face of the franchise,
right,
you go out there and you get him.
Okay.
Example, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid had a strong conviction on Patrick Mahomes, on Mahomes.
Right.
He moved up in the draft. He got him. Okay? And same thing, trying to think of another example. I forgot. It slips my mind. But Patrick Mahomes was the classic example. I got another example. I'm sorry. Even though he hasn't improved in it, the Bears and Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, that was a horrible pick.
That was a horrible pick, yes. But you put yourself in a position
right.
where you secure your franchise quarterback for the next couple of years.
I feel you.
Okay.
I understand. So I was one of those guys who laughed. I watched the Giants' reaction to the first pick for about 4, 5, 8 months, just to see that laughter of everyone fainting, falling, cursing the TV out, just going in. And at the end of the season, I think you guys got a franchise quarterback.
And I agree with you. And it's just you see him transition from the start of the season to the end of the season. At the start of the season, he's listening to everything his coach is telling him. Pat Shermer was his offensive coordinator. He was calling the plays at the line. If you look at him at the end, there were some times where he could have called an audible. I remember one play against Arizona, when Arizona was coming out with an all-out blitz in the end zone,
right,
to try to get a safety.
Right.
And you see, and I remember Patrick Peterson was coming down the edge. He could have called an audible, but I think he was a little shy to try.
Nice little quick slant or quick screen or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. He was a little shy, and I think he was a little uncomfortable. But then, as you see him coming on around the season, you see him taking control of that offensive line.
Yeah, getting more comfortable. He's still a rookie, but it's a brand new offense, it's a brand new system.
And that's what
you went from college to the actual pro. So yeah, to think he was just going to learn it in the first 2 or 3 weeks now.
And that's what I want. I wanted to see the transition. I wanted to see, okay, first couple of weeks he's doing what his coach is telling him to do, and then later on in the season he's taking control of that offense.
Right.
And
right.
He's calling audibles and everything, and that's what I want.
Okay.
I'll take a losing season, but I want to see this kid progress. I don't want to see him.
Well, that's the main thing. You want to see if he has it. You don't expect. Even Peyton Manning, it came in through 20-some interceptions. He was, he's a Hall of Famer. So, yeah, of course, it kills me me personally, I think when rookie quarterbacks, no matter who they are, where they come from, you don't expect them to make mistakes. The guys are bigger, stronger, and faster in the NFL. Yeah. That's why it's a limited amount of players. All those thousands of players that play in college that don't make it because they just aren't on that level.
You look at let's go back to 2007, Jamarcus Russell. Raiders, he was destined for NFL success.
$140 million wasted.
And you look at him and you say to yourself, he was, the minute he came into the NFL, people were thinking he was going to be an MVP candidate. He was going to be a Hall of Famer eventually.
Right.
Excuse me. And the guy got paid. I'm going to say the homie took the system. He got paid.
I think that's one of the last contracts where the rookies were allowed to get $100-some million, and they wound up capping all the rookies.
Oh, yeah. So he got paid and probably his career stats, if I had to look at his quarterback, his QBR.
It's one of the worst.
It was at below 50%.
It was one of the worst in the history of NFL. So you were happy with Daniel Jones play throughout the season.
He's got the right demeanor.
All right, so
For New York, he's got the right attitude.
right, okay,
Now I gotta see him transition that attitude and put it into the game. And he's doing all the right things that you want a franchise quarterback to do. He's taking
Right.
he took the whole team, the whole offense down to Texas. He started practicing throws. He started practicing the playbook. So he's doing all the right things. Now I gotta see him put that in the level of playing
right.
when the game is on the line. You know?
I think the fact that you as a second year quarterback going in, you have an opportunity to where you can actually make a better overall fit with your team by taking them down there, by getting them implemented into the offense, learning the new play because you got a new coach now, the new system. You want to get your timing and everything good. I think him and Slayton have a real good chemistry.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be a guy to look out for in fantasy football.
To be fair, Truth, I think the question you should ask, and no disrespect, is do I really feel comfortable with the head coach more so than the quarterback?
I think bringing a new head coach in, fresh start. Pat Shermer coming in, he looked like a deer in headlights in his second year, just like he did in his first year. It's a bad situation for a quarterback because he did not want Daniel Jones. He was good with Eli. Eli played a couple of games and then immediately wanted to get Daniel Jones in there, obviously, because you can tell it wasn't going to be a great season. So you want to get him as much experience as you can, which is the right thing to do. But I think the Giants made a good pick here. Even though I laughed at it, I apologize to Gettleman. I think this guy, I'm not saying he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but I look at this guy and I think he's going to be a good quarterback for the Giants. Mm-hmm. And what's going to make him, I think, really good is the fact that the system he's in and the fact that he has a great running back and there, which really, if anybody who's a Giant fan, you know what's going on in Dallas. And the fact that you have this quarterback who's fighting for, Mahomie money. He signed his franchise tag. He didn't get the extension he wanted. But, the reason why he can pass the way he passed because he has one of the, if not one of the best running backs in that backfield, and that's Ezekiel Elliott. So if you can give a young quarterback a great running back, and then you guys went into the draft and started working on that offensive line, that'll take a lot of pressure off the quarterback because you can't just sit there and dare him to throw. Because now you have to really respect that running back because that is a monster of a man back there.
Oh, that's a man-child.
Yeah, he's a monster of a man back there. So let me ask you this. So I know it's super early. What do you see? What kind of season do you see from your team this year? Early predictions.
It's tough. I mean, I'll be happy with an 8-8 season.
So you think? I know what you're happy with, but what, do you see your team in the playoffs?
Not this year.
Okay.
Not this year, because you got to keep in mind you have a rookie head coach who's just starting to get acclimated to the being. You got to keep in mind
NFL life. Okay.
You got to keep in mind this rookie head coach that we got. His name. Shoot, I forgot his name now. Joe Judge.
Okay. Right, Judge.
Yeah. He came out of the practice squad in New England. Now, if you backtrack New England, Belichick does not give his special teams play calling to just anyone. When Joe Judge came into the picture, he gave up all his play calling on special teams.
Right.
So, I do have some confidence in the guy. He's got the right demeanor. He's got the right attitude. And he's young, so I think we need some young blood in the locker room.
Right.
And the thing about special teams, people always underestimate special teams, but special teams has a good concept of offense, defense, and special teams included.
True.
So their concept of it is their job is to administer and watch the game from every perspective.
Right.
You look at the Harbaugh. What's his name? I always get them confused. Jim Harbaugh or John Harbaugh.
Are you talking about the coach out there in Ravens?
One of the Harbaughs was the special teams head coach.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And that's why they have the best special team kicker in the history of football.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's crazy. We're talking about fantasy. I talked about fantasy a little earlier. And I wasn't even mad when some guy picked Tucker at like the 10th, 11th pick. And you couldn't be mad with it because the man is freaking phenomenal. He's going to give you points every single game, and he doesn't miss field goals.
Yeah, and the thing about, if you look at the history of Belichick, he never gives up his special teams play.
Right.
So I have to believe that he felt something special about Joe Judge because he gave it up to him.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. I wish you guys a good season.
Thank you.
I was looking forward to the, MetLife Bowl game that we always have every single year, but the fact that NFL canceled all of the preseason games, we're not going to get that this year. So that's, something I always look forward to every year, us beating the brakes off the Giants, because we don't play y'all. We only play y'all like every 4 years.
And, it's funny because that's the game that decides who makes the squad and who doesn't.
Pretty much, because, I remember... For some reason, the Jets and Giants used to always be the third game because they know these two teams that hate each other. They share the stadium.
Yeah.
And I think the time Eli was bloody was one of the first years they actually put it the first game. And the fact that these two teams hate each other so much, all starters played in the entire first quarter, where usually the starters only play the first drive.
Yeah.
And then Eli got bloody, and they sat his ass down real quick. So,
credit to the Jets' pass rush,
I remember, man, Calvin Pace. Shout out to Calvin Pace for making sure Eli had stitches.
Oh, in that aspect, shout out to Victor Cruz for catching 3 touchdowns.
You know what's crazy? What always burned me about the Victor Cruz thing?
What's that?
He was on the Jets squad first. And the Jets let him go. The Giants picked him up, and he wound up having a really good career. So, again, shout out to your team. I wish y'all the best, especially because we don't play each other this year. So, to me, it doesn't matter how many games you win or how many games you lose. But it would be nice to see you guys actually, do something nice in the season, whether it's the playoffs or not. But, I think you said the 8-8 is a great thing because it's not a losing record.
It's not a losing record. For me, you got to understand
It's like
something.
a tie.
For me, it's more like this. You got to understand we're building this team from within.
Right.
And we're building it the right way.
Yeah, rebuilding. Rebuild sometimes takes 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 years.
So we're getting rid of, I don't like to give Gettleman too much credit, but shout out to Gettleman for getting rid of all those bad contracts.
Right. That's how you do it. Clean house, man. You get them off, start brand new.
Start brand new, and you build through the draft.
Right.
So in that aspect, you cannot, even last year when my friends asked me, you think we're Giants are going to make it all the way? I said no, because we got our offense, but then we got no defense. We gutted our defense.
I love the fact that you have a fan that's realistic, instead of, oh, man, we're going to the Super Bowl, and then they only win one game.
So I'm sorry to cut you off, but in that aspect, we gutted our defense, and we had no veteran leadership on our defense.
Right.
So what aspect, we had a young defense that never played together. What real, expectations did you really have?
Well, I mean, like I said, I think anybody that goes into the season expecting their team to have a losing record, isn't it? I mean, you're a realist, but at the end of the day, you want your team to do as best as possible.
And that's what I wanted. I wanted them. I wasn't too concerned about the record. I wanted to see the progression through a 16-game regular season.
Okay, all right. So again, like I said, I wish you the best. We're not going to be able to see you in the preseason, but I think because of the fact that I know the Jets started camp today. I don't know when you guys started camp, but I will be reading. I want to see what's going on in camp, what players are shining and which aren't. So I wish you the best.
Thank you.
So, oh man.
All right, what's up?
Oh. All right, so I'm not gonna waste too much time on this.
You're itching to get on this one.
Well, no, it was. I got to talk about jamaladams, and the fact I want to talk about from a couple of different aspects, but we're not gonna stick on it too long. But this is a gentleman who I think is a phenomenal player. I think he's a great player. But I'm gonna bust some people's bubble. Some people may be mad, they may be upset. I'm not saying I'm the guy who knows all the X's and O's, but I want to give you my opinion on it, and this is how we're going to go. I think Jamal Adams is a great safety. I think he is the best safety in football right now. But I want people to remember this before we go into the history, what happened, how it happened, and if you're under a rock, you should know it by now. Jamal Adams' first year kind of barely missed the Pro Bowl. Jamal Adams' second year made the Pro Bowl, really good year. And his third year is when he hit the stratosphere. So what was different between the first year, second year, third year? Now, he had a good rookie season. He learned. He's an excellent old guy. He's a very intelligent guy. This guy loves football. So what happened between year one, year two, and the fact that he blew up this year in year three? Now, do you think it's because of his play? Did you think it was just because it was his third year? Or is it because of the defensive coordinator that he had? Okay.
See, Truth, here's where I have some trouble.
Let's go.
All right. You can never trust a player on his third or fourth year in the NFL.
You think so?
And the reason, a rookie player.
Okay.
On a rookie contract,
Right.
because they're always playing for that money. They're always wanting to get re-signed, get structured somewhere. So
Okay.
I always, and not to doubt Jamal Adams, I think he's a phenomenal safety. In that game against the Giants, I fucking hated the guy.
Yo, man, we were supposed to have 2 strips with touchdowns. If it wasn't for Saquon being there, catching that first one, that would have been a touchdown for the defense also.
Yeah, so I don't doubt his playmaking skills. But I'll credit the Jets, and I'll give them this much credit. This is the first time I've ever seen them be willing to trade a player who's a household name. Let's be honest, he's very, very liked amongst Jets fans, for the thought of building for the future.
We did do it before. We did it with John Abraham. We got rid of
Donnie Abraham.
John Abraham, the defensive end.
Okay.
The one that we got rid of, we did it before. We didn't sign Reeves when we should have. So we have a history of doing craziness.
But here, even a player the caliber of Jamal Adams, you know what I'm saying? Like, even Donnie Abraham, you lived past that. In the last couple of years, not to give the Jets too much credit, you always had a top-notch defense.
And we had a pretty good defense when Rex Ryan was the quarterback.
And
when Rex Ryan was the head coach, because he's a defensive coach.
And even Todd Bowles gave you a decent defense.
He did. Another defensive coordinator.
So I always say, when it comes to the Jets, it was this is the first time I can remember that they actually thought about building for the future. Now, you leverage Sam Darnold, okay, and you leverage Jamal Adams. The face of your franchise has got to be the quarterback always.
Well, it's going to be the quarterback anyway. The safety isn't that Cinderella position. It's not a running back. It's not a quarterback. It's not a defensive end. He's a safety.
And that's where I always say the Jets were thinking, we got to build a team around Darnold more so than Jamal Adams.
Oh, they didn't want to pay him. Don't think they didn't want to pay him.
No, they weren't going to pay him.
No, they were. They wanted to pay him. I think he worked his way out because he wanted a fresh start and he wanted an opportunity to get some money. And I'll get to that in a second. So let me finish this point.
Okay.
So even though the fact that I think Jamal Adams is a phenomenal player, he's a great player, I think he has the ability to maybe even go into the Hall of Fame. I think that's just how great of a player he is. He loves the game. He's a student of the game. He loves to watch film. So he's not just a loudmouth guy who just shows up and just does what he does. No, this guy studies film. He's studying his book. He's a great player.
Okay.
But I also want people to understand all these sacks and stuff didn't happen until Greg Williams came into the picture. Now, Greg Williams is a defensive coordinator that likes to put different guys in different positions. All right? Adams played corner. He played strong safety, free safety. He played linebacker. This man was all over the field. He even played defensive end a couple of plays. So this guy lined up all over the field. And Greg Williams utilized his great talent a phenomenal way. So, him going to Seattle, is he, in my opinion, going to put up the same exact numbers he did with the Jets? My answer is no. Why? Because Greg Williams isn't there. And here's another example why I say that. What was the safety that left?
McDougal or something like
No,
that?
the guy. No, you're talking about the guy that we got. But I'm saying Earl Thomas was
Earl
the
Thomas.
phenomenal safety that they already had. Okay, who didn't record his first career sack until last year when he wasn't a part of Seattle anymore.
Okay.
So, what does that tell you? Seattle does not play the same exact defense that Greg Williams plays. Now, can he blitz? Yes. Can Jamal Adams cover? Yes. So, will he have the same numbers he had with the Jets as with Greg Williams as his defensive coordinator that he's going to have with Seattle, Washington? And my answer to that is no. And I know you want to say something, so go ahead and I'll finish.
You know what? I can't even argue against that one. And,
Oh, you was gonna come from that?
No. I was gonna be a headhunter, and I can't even.
Well, see, that's the thing, and that's why I wanted to let people know I think he's a great player. I think he's a phenomenal player, but it's also has to do with a system.
He's a product of the system.
Right, and he showed with Todd Bowles, and he showed with Greg Williams that he's a great player. But I think Greg Williams utilized him
But
in a great way that Todd Bowles didn't utilize him.
You look at Seattle.
Right.
Okay. Seattle, you picked out Earl Thomas. You picked out Earl Thomas and now Cam Chancellor.
Well, Cam. All right. So here's the thing.
So no, let me finish on this one.
Yeah.
And then I would have to look at even what's his name, Richard Sherman. Seattle didn't have top 10 players, but
You think so? Okay.
No.
Go ahead, finish.
In the draft, they didn't draft top 10 players. Their defense was picked in the later rounds. They just had a defensive system that worked around their top 10 players.
I feel you.
So I think that, in all fairness, I think Pete Carroll, in the system he has up there, has worked for him in the last couple of years.
Oh, it has. It has.
Now I'm not going to say Seattle is going to be a top 10 defense this year, but Seattle's always got a decent defense.
They do, and Adams makes their team better on defense.
And that's where I think he's not going to give you the monster stats he gave you with the Jets.
Absolutely not, because he's not going to play in the same system.
And then again, you look at the Jets and you say to yourself, they draft a whole bunch of defensive linemen, but they never draft any defensive ends.
Well, I mean, the best defensive end, as much as I like Williams, Quinn Williams, the guy we drafted, I wanted Josh Allen. Josh Allen put up 10 sacks last year.
Oh, what are you kidding?
And that's exactly what we wanted, was a defensive end. But again, we allowed our old general manager to pick and then fire him. But I guarantee you, if our new general manager, Joe, was there, Joe would have drafted Josh Allen, and we would have had our defensive end in the future.
Oh, were you kidding? The Giant, I wanted him.
Guy put up 10 sacks on a team that didn't need him because they didn't want to draft him, Yeah. So, yeah.
Like, I look at him and I say, I wanted that. But I always look at Seattle, and they always, you could
Consistency.
They have a consistent defense.
Right.
They're not top 10. They might be top 15, but it's not a defense you can walk in there and think you're going to pass for 400 yards and rush for 300.
Now you can, but remember they had Sherman, they had Cam, they had Earl Thomas, but those guys are gone now.
But
so
it's a decent built defense. I'm not going to
absolutely.
It's not
absolutely.
I'm not going to say they're awesome. They'll give up yards, but it's not a defense you can actually walk in there and think, okay, this is going to be just another game that I could just walk all over the defense.
Oh, we're going to get to that in a second. All right,
fair enough.
All right, again, will Adams have a good year with Seattle? Yes. Will he continue to go to the Pro Bowl? Yes, because the guy can cover. The guy can hit. He's a phenomenal player. He's not going to put up those same numbers that he did when he had Greg Williams as a defensive coordinator. And you have to understand that as a true football player. You have to understand it. Now, who got the better of the trade? We knew he was going to, I didn't think he was going to trade him, but the moment he made that comment about the owner, you knew he was a goner. Yep. He wanted a new contract. You had the safety, and Chicago got an early deal. You had the running back, and Carolina got a new deal. He's a third-year player. He wanted a deal. The Jets were going to give him a deal, but they were going to give him a deal after this year. He wanted it now. He continued to say things. He got his way out and understood. So let's talk about it. It happened. It's done. Who won? Who was the better of trade? So the Jets gave up Jamal Adams and a fourth-round pick in 2022. The Jets, in return, got a first-round pick and a third-round pick in 2021 and a first-round pick in 2022. So overall, we got 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. Now, why would Seattle give that? The last couple of years, Seattle's late-round picks, because they're always in the playoff hunt, if not always in the playoffs. All right, the only issue I have with Seattle is they never have an offensive line, which is why Russell is running for his life every time. So they're always picking in late rounds, and they a couple of last couple of years, their late-round picks haven't really established into anything. So for them, it's a win-win situation for them. But for the Jets, who are in the rebuild stage, to have 2 first-round picks next year and 2 third-round picks next year. Oh my gosh! Are you talking about rebuilding?
I actually say it's a bigger win for the Jets than it is for the Seahawks.
I agree.
And the reason I say this is because the Seahawks are going to find themselves in the same position next year. In a year, next year to try to renegotiate this guy's contract.
Thank you, because after this year, he's going to want a new contract, and the fact that Seattle would be under pressure to give him a new contract because you gave up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick in order to get a guy. So, but technically, he's still on his rookie contract, and they can franchise tag him next year. So it's not like he's guaranteed to get a new contract.
And it's what I will say is this, that I actually compliment the Jets on this one, because this is the first time I can remember that they actually built the team. They're trying to build a team around the quarterback. Now you look at your first round pick and you look at your second, you look at the draft picks they have, and you like to think that they're going to use it to help Darnold.
Absolutely, they gave him a monster, 6'7", 300-some pounds, who ran a 5 and a 40-yard dash, and then you give him a wide receiver who can run, who can catch, and is tall and big.
And now, and here's the thing, in the last couple of years in free agency, I think the Jets were actually going out into free agency and just plugging in players.
Yeah, it's blowing money, which we didn't do this year, which shows you that there's a change of guard.
So I look at it and I compliment them because they would have. I'll be honest. Robbie Anderson, I think he left the Jets, right?
He left because the Jets didn't want to give him the amount of money that Carolina gave him, and I didn't want to lose Robbie, but I think we replaced Robbie with 2 guys who are bigger than Robbie. They're just as fast as Robbie, and they have a better catch range than Robbie.
And the thing about Robbie is you got to understand something. He's just a speedster.
I won't say that.
You won't say that? Why
Absolutely not.
Let's
I think Robbie Anderson took a very big leap this year, and the reason he took the leap is because Hines Ward was one of the assistant wide receivers. His route tree expanded stratosphere. He was running routes he never ran before. He was more efficient, more slants, more cuts, more ends. His tree just opened way up. And that same person, Hines Ward, is still a part of the Jets. And you give Hines Ward 2 receivers that are like Robbie Anderson, but bigger and stronger.
I never knew, actually, that Hines Ward was actually a Jets coach there.
Yeah, he's one of the wide receiver coaches.
Oh, okay.
So that brings somebody in, and that's why this man had one of the best years. And people got to remember, as far as an offensive standpoint, Sam Darnold missed the fourth. He came the first year. The field goal kicker missed, and that's why we lost the first game. And then Sam Darnold missed 4 games.
Yeah. Okay.
And we had like 5 string quarterbacks.
I mean, you had a guy nobody ever heard of.
So to get back to Adam. So again, as far as the trade, I think both parties won. I think Seattle, again, who last couple of years didn't draft well late. You're not going to draft Jamal Adams in the 27th, 25th, 30th pick. You're not going to find that.
And to touch on that point, I think Seattle, even now as late as they are, they're still a decent team.
Absolutely, they're playoff. They're playoff bound. They're going to playoff.
So I think they fell on defense. Jamal Adams was the missing link.
I made the defense a whole lot better. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think at the end of the day, you look at Seattle and you say to yourself, you look at them and you say to yourself that, you know what, the Jets won. It's the first time I could ever remember the Jets not making a mess at a free agency and at
a new guard, sir. We have a new captain of the ship, and he's steering us. He did not blow money in free agency. What he did is he took the worst part of the Jets team, which was the offensive line, and he drafted a bunch of players who could play a bunch of different positions,
Right.
and a lot of great players to battle it out, and the best players are going to play. So the offensive line is 1,000% better than it was last year.
And that's why I give him credit. He did it. In drafting, he did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you give that man who wound up doing trades with the New England Patriots, that lets you know that there was a different change of the guard. He traded with them in the season, and then he traded with them a couple of times. Well, traded with them in the draft a couple of times. So that goes to show you there's a new guard. So if you could give that same guy with that same mentality and a brand new scouting system, you give him 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round picks. The rebuild is on for the next 2 years. 2 first-round picks in the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. The rebuild is on, and I think we're headed there. So I'm gonna do the same thing I asked you to do. Prediction for us: I say playoff bound. People can laugh at me. You can chuckle all you want. We finished 6-2 to the end of the season. Okay, we had a brand new offense. We bring that same offense back with a better offensive line where Donald didn't have to throw the ball immediately. The moment he say hike and he throwing it away because they got people running on his ass. You put a better offensive line. He can sit back there. He could go through his reads. You give him better wide receivers. I don't care what y'all say. You give him better weapons, and the defense got better. So again, I see us taking that last playoff spot, which was added, because if people may or may not remember, we have another playoff spot that was implemented in this year in the NFL. So I see the Jets claiming that last playoff spot, and I'm not telling you we're going to win the Super Bowl, people. I'm not going to tell you that. But I will say the team that we have, we will make the playoffs. All right, so we're going to keep last words before we keep this ball moving.
I would say when it comes
What's good, Victor? Thanks for tuning in.
When it comes to the Jets,
right?
I will say, you gotta walk, you gotta crawl before you walk.
Right.
So the reason I say that is because, unfortunately, the NFL goes in a curve. You have to go through your losing season.
We have.
And yes, you have. Then you gotta go to your mediocre season, finish 8-8 or 7-9.
We have.
Have you last year? Have you really done that?
7-9.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected.
So I said we went 6-2. We went 6-2 with a horrible offensive line, not the greatest weapons on as far as the wide receivers, and even though we had Le'Veon Bell back there, the moment he got the ball handed to him, he was getting tackled by 5,000 defenders. So again, the fact that you made the offensive line better, and you're going to give Bell better running lanes, which means the guys just can't sit back there and
get smothered.
And get smothered. They have to play the Jets even. And just like they'll have to play the Giants even with a good running back, a good offensive line, some offensive weapons, and a decent quarterback or a good quarterback, going to surprise a lot of people.
Okay, so I stand corrected because I actually didn't know all that.
It's all good. It's all good.
So,
all right, so we're going to keep this ball rolling. All right, so I know this is an NFL show, but we're going to talk about sports, and I'm going to bring it home and all. So I want to talk about Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball finally opened up They decided to come in with a shortened season. And for anybody who knows baseball, who can stay there and watch it, that's 162 games.
Stay there and watch
It's a
it, he
lot of
says.
freaking games. 162 games is a lot of freaking games. And while we're talking about baseball, I want to give my homie a shout out because he's trying to be part of an organization that's trying to buy part of the Royals.
Mahomie's trying to do that?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
I knew
smart
you
man.
would be happy to hear that. I want to save that for you.
No,
okay.
smart man.
Hey, when you worth $500,000,
You
you're
gotta-
gonna do the right thing.
You
All
gotta
right, so
secure your pockets.
there we go. So I want to get back to the baseball thing.
Okay.
So they decided to come back with a shortened season. I think it's about 60 games. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
So don't hold me to the fire with that. But you tell me baseball, you tell me 60 games, I'm watching. I'm a baseball lover. I'm a Yankee fan. But 162 games is way too many for me. But you shorten the season, which means every game is that much more important.
Hey, the Mets might actually.
You never know. You took over 100 games from the season, which makes every single game that much more important. So, why am I talking about baseball? Let's go. Okay. We're talking about baseball because we're talking about pandemic. We're talking about coronavirus and people testing positive. And then we're going to talk about the Florida Marlins. Okay. This is a team whose every single game has been suspended till further notice. And you're like, wow, hold on. The baseball season just started. Why would they suspend all of the Marlin games till further notice? This is what happens when you have 17 players test positive for the coronavirus. And there's only 9 starters. Oh, shit. I can't. How does 17 players from one organization test positive to where they have to shut that franchise down until further notice? To where you have these guys trying to pull players off the street. Hey, if you got a good swing, come here, just to be able to play games. In the coronavirus, so we have a situation here where we have a league who shortened their season, decide they still wanted to play, and they're already dropping the ball because we have 17 players test positive in one team. Now, other players have tested positive in other teams, but nowhere near 17. I think the second team was 6. 17. Okay? Let's keep this rolling. Okay. We have the NBA. I'm going to bring it home to the NFL. I got you, sir. I got you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
NBA. How many coronavirus reports have they have? 0. You know why? They decided to do the bubble scenario. They got all the players to be tested and to be stuck in this one situation down in Orlando where you can't leave. And if you do leave, you come back, you got to be tested, and then you got to self-quarantine. Not one player has tested positive. So, we already see it. Two different sides of the spectrum here. We have the MLB who decided to come back, got one team with 17. You have the NBA who decided to section all the NBA players in one place, deny access to the outside world to finish the NBA season, and not one case has tested positive.
And let's track it even further.
Let's
Soccer,
go.
the European League, La Liga.
Victor say he plays baseball. Hey man, you never know. You might be eligible. You may contact the Marlins and get you on that team.
Shit, back in high school, I had a major league fastball. Maybe I could get signed.
You can get signed.
So, La Liga in the Spanish Premier League hasn't had even the.
We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So you have something on NBA before we keep going?
No, nothing on NBA.
All right, so we have one league that has shown you that they have a method to prevent the coronavirus, and it's working. You already have another league that's showing you the coronavirus, and it's not working.
You know,
So let's introduce another league
all right.
that has managed to deal with the pandemic and deal with it the right way. Bring us home, Frank.
Soccer hasn't reported any cases. The MLS, even La Liga in Spain, has been running for almost a month, and they've yet had any reported cases.
So what is we know what the NBA is doing because the NBA is segregating everyone. What is MS do? Well, I'm sorry. What is soccer, football, goal? What are they doing right that Major League Baseball messed up?
You know what? I actually think when it comes to Major League Baseball, you got 162 games a season. Look at the game
That's a
average.
lot.
You got season ticket holders, you
Right.
got investors. They got to put a product out on the field to get the money's worth.
Right.
So I think they pressured themselves to open up as soon as they could to put a finished product out in the field.
Okay.
You got to keep in mind these contracts in baseball. You got Giancarlo Stanton got paid what, $500 million or something like that. I forgot what his contract was worth.
Real Madrid. What club is that?
Real Madrid. That's in Spain.
In Spain? Victor said that's his squad. Champions.
And they actually, shout out to Real Madrid. They actually just won.
Yeah, he just put that in the chat.
Yeah, La Liga. Shout out to
Champions.
what's his name, Victor?
Yeah.
Shout out to Victor. Yeah, you're right. They just won the championship. You know what? Shout out to old men out there because La Liga soccer has been the only thing that's been keeping me sane in the last couple of months. So, I would say this: baseball, I think, felt the panic button. They wanted to recoup that money.
Right, something.
And
Because they do have broadcasting contracts, so they will, even though they can't have fans in the stands, they still will keep that money by broadcasting some games.
And even better than that, a lot of those contracts in the MLB are guaranteed.
Right.
You know, Bobby Bonilla, he's cashing out a check every first.
He's
of
still
July.
getting paid from the Mets. That's so fucking sad.
Like
He's literally still getting paid.
My
from the
dude is
Mets.
getting paid for the Mets, and every year all he has to do is come in July 1st, direct deposit, Mets organization. There you go.
You know what's funny?
What's
Someone
that?
put a joke out. They said the fact that Bobby Bonilla is making more money than Jamal Adams.
No,
and he's not even playing. But go ahead, that was a joke. I'm sorry.
I'll give you another joke. By the time the Chiefs are done paying Patrick Mahomes,
Which he'll never finish that contract. But go
he'll
ahead.
never finish that contract. But let's say he does, Mahomes finishes that contract.
Never gonna happen. But go ahead.
That'll happen sooner than Bobby Bonilla being done with the Jets. I mean, with the Mets. I'm sorry.
I feel you. You know, and the reason why we're talking about NBA, we're talking about Major League Baseball, and we're talking about soccer. All right? Now it's time to bring it home. Okay? The NFL. You have already taken a great step by suspending all preseason games, which means you will restrict the travel and you would restrict the extra interaction for a preseason game where no one's really getting super paid. You're not getting the great views and the great everything else. So what I need you to do, NFL, I give you credit for that, but I also need you to continue to step up. I need you to learn from Major League Baseball's mistake, and I need you to learn from the NBA's success. But we know you're not going to segregate a whole team and stuff like that. But we also go to show you soccer where that's not happening, but you still see success.
And I'll say this much. Imagine, take it from a perspective. How many players you get drafted in the NFL every year? You got 7 rounds.
7 rounds, 32 teams. You do the math, so you got, I think it's 244, 242.
So
I could be wrong.
So imagine this is a season where you're not going to have preseason. So coaches are not going to be able to evaluate and reevaluate players in real-time scenarios.
Right.
So imagine the undrafted rookie from, let's say, Passaic Community College.
Well, like you said, we talked about Victor Cruz earlier. So a guy like Victor Cruz doesn't make the team because people remember that first year he was hurt.
Yeah.
That right after he blew up on the Jets, he got hurt and he didn't even play that year.
So you imagine it gives a guy from a no-name school, a no-namer,
An opportunity to make the team.
an opportunity to make the team. So
So,
now,
do you think it's going to make camp that much more intense? Because now you have to see those players. You have to bring it out of them.
So
So you have to make some kind of practice to where it's intense, where you can bring it out of someone.
so I'll say this: it's not, your spot on the team is not guaranteed.
Oh, at all.
I know. Every year you go into, the vets go into training camp saying, well, I'm going to make the team regardless. I don't care because they're a household name,
Right.
or they got a free agent contract. So, but this year it's going to be like, all right, my contract is not guaranteed. I still got to pay to my potential.
Well, I would say this: unless you got guaranteed money, you in some trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I will say this again. NFL, learn from the three. We gave you 3 leagues: success and failures. We want to see this NFL season, and we're not saying that one player's not going to have or catch the coronavirus. But what I want these guys to understand is, again, learn from the Florida Marlins, because it sounds like all of those guys went out multiple times with each other, and whoever got it just continued to give it to the next person, and the next person, the next person, the next person. You guys got to self-quarantine to your circle. Your circle. To people that you already know, your friends and family. Stop exploring, because remember when this whole NFL really first started, a bunch of, I think 7 or 8, might have been 10 or 11, could be wrong. Cowboys caught it. Guess where they caught it? When my man Dak wanted to have his birthday party, all up on each other, and a bunch of those guys caught it. So again, be careful. But I also want to bring this point out, because I saved it, and I want people to understand this. What is something that the NFL also allowed to happen this year. Okay? So, they are allowing players to opt out of the year. Okay? So, according to Adam Scheffler, players have 7 days from the time agreement is officially signed to whether they want to play in the 2020 season or not. So, here's how the payout's going to go. For those players who are considered high risk, COVID-19, they're going to earn $350,000. For those people who in the season who also choose to opt out, that's not at high risk, those people who opt out the player are going to receive $150,000. So, for all you guys who are Patriots fan, and I'm a Jet fan, and I love when I heard this. 6 players from the Patriots already opted out of playing this season. You have a bunch of players from other teams decided not to play this season. This thing is serious. This stuff has already killed people. I have personally lost relatives to this disease. So you do have some people who are opting out. So for those players who are opting out, I understand that. I feel no type of way about it. Again, whether it's my team or anyone else's team, you have to protect you and yours day one, very first. So those guys are opting out. They're taking the less money. So 2021 is really going to be different. Again, you're not sure how many more players are going to opt out, but this is an option. And you do have some players who are taking it. But again, NFL, I need you to step your game up and make sure that this is a complete successful season. The NFL is the moneymaker of all leagues. You guys create $1 trillion between bars, DirecTV, pay-per-view, playoffs, commercials, all this stuff, Super Bowl, Vegas, betting and stuff, fantasy football. You guys create $1 trillion. And this will help our economy get back to reasonable. Not saying we still won't be in a hole, but it'll get us back a little bit. So we're going to need you guys to learn from the mistakes of the prior leagues and the success of the prior leagues to get us back. Again, Frank, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Any last words before we get out of here?
Thank you for having me, Truth. As always, blessing to be here. Shout out to my friends Estevali.
Shout out.
and Kevin and Jasmine, my adorable little niece Pamelita, and all the family members I forgot down in South America.
So, again, this is our very first show live. I'm not sure if Frank will be hanging out with me because he was telling me I had to beat him to get him here the second time. No, I'm just joking. Floor is always open. Again, we're going to be going live every Tuesday now, from now to the entire season. So continue to watch us. Continue to hang out with us. We appreciate everything, man. Peace out.